Hello, hello, dear friends. Welcome to this beautiful evening that we are going to share together. This is creating clarity and calm for Purposeful 2024. And just before I hit the record button, I sort of joked a little bit as to everyone's clarity and calmness level. And I know that we're all going to leave here with much more increased levels of both, I promise you. And as we're waiting for folks to come in, I really just want to express my gratitude for you for sharing this space and this time. Your time is so valuable. So I am not going to forget that. So I always like to know what we've got coming. And so here's an overview of how we're going to spend the next few minutes together. And so really, first I'll actually introduce myself to you. And after that, I'm going to maybe talk a little bit about some of the reasons why we may not already feel like we have access to clarity and calm in these hectic kind of times that we're living in, right? And so we'll look a little bit at some of the downstream effects of what ends up sometimes being this sort of chronic daily stress that we all swim in. And then I'm going to invite you just to consider the perspective from mindfulness and meditation as maybe something that's really easy and effortless for you to work into your busy life as it is. We'll talk a little bit about some of the benefits of meditation and using meditation as a tool, if you will, as an antidote to some of the chronic daily stress. And this is a workshop after all. And so we are going to actually practice a Nidra or NSDR, as it's called sometimes, or non-sleep deep rest. Really, the only thing you have to do is try not to fall asleep. And even if you do, it's okay. So it is a fully guided meditation that we're going to really luscious kind of meditation that we get to enjoy together. I think most of you have tried at least some form of Nidra with me before. And then after we're done with that, if it feels like, oh, this is curious, let me see what else may be available. I'll tell you about 2 different ways that we can work together. And then I always leave room for Q&A. And so that's really what's coming up for us, okay? So here's what I wanted to share with you about me. I think most of you know me. I am a family physician. I graduated from med school in the year 2000 from the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, and I have been practicing for quite some time. I'm also a certified coach in a couple of different places. I am also certified in meditation, in a few different kinds of meditation and some advanced types of meditation as well. And more importantly, I've been teaching meditation completely accidentally for probably a little over 5 years or so. And welcome, welcome as you guys are coming in. I also teach Ayurveda as well. I love to speak, and part of my training really has been in trauma-aware yoga therapy and polyvagal-aware yoga therapy. And I offer private coaching, group coaching. I'm a retreat co-host with Dr. Michelle Quirk. Some of you guys are maybe in this photo. This was our last retreat in the Blue Ridge Mountains last September. It was absolutely glorious. We have a retreat coming up in actually next week. Some of you guys are coming to that too. That one sold out really quickly. And we are most likely going to open up another one in the fall. So stay tuned. And then I have my podcast. I'd love for you to connect with me there. It's called Inner Peace and Power. And so this is my family. And so these are my kids, if we call them that. They're beautiful young adults. And so this kid is in college at the University of Florida. We took this photo last fall. And then this is Nina, my younger one. She's actually heading off to college this next August. And so Eric and I are going to be empty nesters very soon. So that's kind of exciting. And I really love to teach in person and online. And this kind of discourse and back and forth and creating a safe space is really where I feel like I come alive the most. Now, as we go through this, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask, feel free to type in the chat. and we'll go from there. So I am going to ask you to type in the chat if any of this resonates with you and your life, right? So it's like, hey, how come we're not calm already? How come we're not so, how come we're just not chill, right? Not even chill, but what's going on? What may be there, right? Because I get to work with really high achieving women all day, and I have, had thousands and thousands of hours of interactions with this kind of chronic daily stress, with people experiencing this kind of chronic daily stress, right? And so some of those barriers might really be that we are completely overcommitted, right? We may be in a stage of life where there is just literally too much to do and not enough time, or at least it feels like that perpetually, right? There are also, due dates. There's societal pressures that we might be feeling. And then even more so, I find with women, we might be having some internal pressures for some kind of productivity that may or may not be a black or white real issue, right? So we've got all these pressures on us. And then most of the time as women, there's also an extra mental load, whether you're the kind of the primary wage earner for the house or not. What we know for sure is that you're generally also managing quite a few things in the household, and you're kind of like thinking about, oh, are we going to run out of toilet paper? Do I have bananas? Did I sign that form for the kids? Like, there's that mental load that really keeps the hectic part of our thinking mind way over here, right? And then boundaries are very difficult. They're very difficult to set. They're very difficult to manage. And on top of that, we tend to have really high expectations of ourselves. And of course, other people also tend to have high expectations of us as well. Does any of this resonate with any of you guys? Anybody recognizing any part of this? Like, does this seem like, oh yeah, I have felt some part of this at some point in my life? And so type in the chat. And so what tends to happen is, yeah, Carolina, 100%. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Right. And so this is real. You're not making this up. So there's nothing manufactured in your head about stress. So that's really what I want to point out to you. Like, you're not a freak. You're not pathologically, there's nothing wrong with you. This is what's going on. Right. And it's really nice to just kind of call it out. And this is just the surface. Like, there's a lot more going on underneath it as well. Right. And so what might be going on within the mind-body system, just a quick overview, would be what we were designed as human beings to do for, like 60 seconds or maybe 90 seconds at a time, right? Like, we were really designed to kind of deal with these life-threatening illnesses. So what tends to happen then is we tend to dilate the pupils, right? And the heart rate beats faster, the lungs we take these short, shallow breaths because, again, we're in the fight or flight. And this is really no time to think about, whether it is digestion or immunity. And this is certainly not a time to think about fertility, for example. And so blood gets shunted from all of these areas and into the large muscles so that if we have to run, that we have access to those, right? And so this goes on and on and on and on. And we know that we can keep this chronic daily stress for decades because we have become used to this. And in fact, what I have seen for sure, and this was true for me as well, was there's a bit of an addiction to the cortisol with that stress, so that when we actually kind of drop down, it doesn't feel okay. And it's really hard for us to relax. And that's because we're really even physiologically programmed to kind of be on this like, woo, kind of, go, go, go mindset, right? The productivity, the focus, this and that. And busyness, unless we're really careful about what is happening in our lives, busyness can actually become a status symbol. And I see that quite a bit as well, right? I'm just too busy. I don't have any time in my schedule. And so these are just some of the things that might be going on as an undercurrent. And I'm just going to leave this slide because it stresses me out. Okay. So you can see why it's really difficult to tap into clarity, into creativity, into calm, is because when we sustain these levels of that sympathetic response, it becomes really costly for us metabolically. And so what can happen, and this is in the polyvagal theory, is that we can then collapse, like kind of check out. We're there mentally, but we're really not there. And so it's kind of known as the dorsal vagal. So our heart rate is down, and we are kind of look calm on the outside, but we're in this dorsal vagal state where we're not able to connect really to the level that we really want to. And the calm that people see on the outside isn't actually the calm that's going on the inside. And that's not great for us either, because where we're supposed to live is that ventral vagal response, that capacity that we have to connect to other people, to co-regulate with other people. And that's actually the most regulated nervous system, autonomic nervous system state that we can be in, right? And so what tends to happen then is, and we're seeing this in society, a lot of you guys are in medicine, and we get to see what's happening in medicine, right? So we are seeing astronomically higher rates of depression, anxiety being diagnosed, PTSD, and not just being diagnosed, they're real. And of course, we're seeing lots and lots of chronic inflammation, chronic illnesses, right? Coronary disease, diabetes, obesity, hypertension, they're all on the rise with no end in sight. And a lot of these are connected to this chronic daily stress that we're feeling. And there is an estimate, and I just looked this up last week, of the cost somewhere being in the US around $37 trillion. Ooh, that is not a greatly efficient system, right? And so I want us to think about, okay, so we've got this whole large, kind of like productivity-based system, which isn't bad, but there's some part of that that's not really giving us the ease and the space to live life and the richness of life that we want. And so I want you to just kind of think about, well, what else might there be? So that's really the invitation that I want really to ask you to come into, right? And so I want you to really consider meditation as a tool, as an antidote that is actually very, very time efficient and extremely cost efficient, right? And this is actually a very sophisticated tool, particularly the kind of meditation that we're going to practice today. It has a whole host of different mindfulness type practices in it already. And we know from studies that it can bring us into that ventral vagal, that autonomic regulation, where we can find safety. And I'll say this quite a few times, but safety has to be present for clarity to come. Safety has to be present within the mind-body autonomic system for there to be true calm, for there to be creativity or connection. And so really, we want to just think about that from a sense of, sometimes we call safety being grounded, however that feels for you, being rooted, however that, whatever word resonates for you, right? And so that is how, when we start to have clarity, that is how we get to create that purposeful year. So, you might actually see that, and I've been seeing a lot of like Instagram influencers saying this, for example, the way that you have a purposeful year is you get more discipline, you get more discipline. And my God, I'm going to tell all of you guys right now, none of you need more discipline in your lives. All of you, I promise you, need more softness in your lives. There is enough hard edges in your lives. There's enough discipline in your lives. You don't need any more discipline. You need more softness. You need more of this really nurturing that you really have been craving, but it's very difficult to give ourselves permission for that, right? And, the number of adults who say they meditate is really growing pretty exponentially. The number of meditation apps, I mean, I love them. I love seeing people talk about meditation and trying meditation and practicing meditation. It's rising really day by day. And so, sometimes meditation and mindfulness are interchanged. I just like to define both of those just in case, so we know what we're talking about. And so meditation is really just the activity of moving. It's really just moving from activity into stillness. So, and meditation is really the fastest way to build up our mindfulness muscle. And so mindfulness, for really what in this purpose, is defined as a way for us to experience a richer life, skillful living, but really the kind of the definition is paying attention to this present moment on purpose, without judgment and with curiosity. So this is my niece and nephew, and they are getting a little bit bigger. This is the last time I saw them. And actually it wasn't. This was the time before that. But really, I have this photo here to remind me to tell you guys that we don't actually have to do anything to be mindful. We are already mindful beings when we come into this world, and no one reminds us that, more clearly than little ones, right? So if there's a 3, 4, 5, 6 year old around you, then consider yourself to be so lucky, right? Because they are already curious, they are not judging, and they're already in the present moment. And no one had to teach them, right? I mean, you didn't teach your kids that, right? Like none of us have to teach kids how to be mindful. They're already really, really mindful creatures. And so when you think about how do we get into this state of mindfulness, I want you to think about what it is that we let go of rather than I have to become something else, because your core is already always very, very present. And so we're just going to look at some tools that we can get there with. And so I hope that helps. I like to also think of mindfulness and meditation as this way of being in this restful awareness. So it isn't that we're checked out, we're not in this like disconnected state. We are really more aware than anything else. And I like this photo because it kind of, it does speak safety. It speaks groundedness and connection and calm and clarity. You can imagine if you got to sit out there and journal in this space that this, girl is in, we would really all be able to come into that space of calm, clarity, and creativity, right? And it really feels like a safe place for us to be. And that parasympathetic nervous system, of course, the vagal nerve is the most important nerve for the parasympathetic nervous system. And when that is activated, we come into that rest and restore response. And when we're in rest and restore, that's really that space for homeostasis, right? So that's where homeostasis is dynamic non-change in the midst of constant change. And that's really where a lot of our healing and mechanisms are really taking shape and doing so in a very, very rapid way. I don't want to really belabor this point too much because I think a lot of you already understand the benefits of meditation, but we'll do a quick overview and then we'll actually get into our meditation. So it makes sense then if I said that being in a chronic inflammatory state or chronic, sympathetic state would decrease immune function and really give us issues within digestive disorders as well as inflammation. That then if meditation is the antidote to that, that in fact immune function would improve, digestive disorders would actually improve because, again, the blood flow starts to change within the body itself. There are shifts within cortisol levels drop, adrenaline levels drop, right? Inflammation drops. And so all of these things then translate into significantly improved immune function, as well as even longevity as far as telomerase is concerned and epigenetics, all of those things, right? And so brain changes are really pretty remarkable because they happen very quickly. And so, if we had EEG machines on all of you guys for the meditation that we're going to do tonight, whether it's your first time or your, 805th time, what we would see is you would go into these different brainwave states because really right now we're in beta and you go into alpha, which is that really calm state, which is very programmable. And then you could even go deeper into theta and delta, which are generally seen in deep sleep, but we see it in NSDR quite often, actually. And so what's happening when we're moving in those states is the blood flow is changing. When we're in that sympathetic state, when we're in that, we're like, that clock was like this, it's like running all around and it stressed me out. I got out of it. What's happening is literally the brain itself is organizing itself, and it makes sense for survival, right? And so we have a lot, and I'm simplifying this, but really, I want to make sure that we understand this point is that really the access to the frontal lobe, which is really where we're making some of these higher centers, these higher creative decisions with clarity and emotional regulation and all of that, it actually sometimes becomes, we just can't even access it because we're so focused on the thing that's happening right in front of us, right? And so the blood flow then is actually in the limbic system and the hypothalamus and the amygdala, and not so much in the frontal lobe. And so you can see here within just a 10-minute meditation, you can see the blood flow actually shifted into the frontal lobe. I mean, this is just 10 minutes. And it's really astounding what tends to happen over time. There is significant rewiring that tends to happen. And even, like I said, just within the short term. And then long term, there are really profound shifts physiologically and physically within the gray gray matter of the brain as well, where the prefrontal lobe literally doesn't look like anything like it used to, 3 or 4 years ago. And so, some of the things that we'll see as neurotransmitter changes. So we've seen within just 6 weeks, things like serotonin and dopamine, norepinephrine, DHEA, all of those things increasing. And these are endogenous, serotonin changes really within 6 weeks to 35 to 40%. And this, of course, translate downstream into feeling more calm, more focused, getting more creative, finding that clarity that you've been looking for, because again, there's access to where you actually need access to. And that's how you start to create this really profound sense of living on purpose, right? And so does anyone have any questions before this is a meditation. Y'all came for the meditation. I'm going to give it to you. Anyone have any questions? So this meditation is really going to be a super soft guided meditation. And the only thing you have to do is literally just get supremely comfortable. And for me, that means lying down. If you're not in a place where you can lie down, no problem. Maybe just recline a little bit. But if you can lie down, go ahead and, have a blanket nearby. I usually like to put something underneath my knees just to take pressure off of my low back. And then also maybe, like a pillow under your head or something like that. And so take your time to just get supremely comfortable. And all you have to do, like I said, is just follow along. And again, I'm so grateful that you're here. As you guys are literally feathering your nests, as I like to say, I'm going to say just a couple things. I just talked quite a lot, and so there might be a lot going through your mind. You may have had a really long day already. And so just giving yourself this space may feel a little uncomfortable because there might be some competing priorities. And just noticing that all of that is okay. All of that is okay. And just seeing if you can give yourself permission to just be here for the next few minutes and just be open and just see what shows up, not needing to make anything happen. And so, if you're ready, we're going to go ahead and get started. And so I want you to bring your awareness inward, and we're going to just start by actually massaging our face. And before we do that, go ahead and just gently begin rubbing the palms together, creating some heat. And just keep rubbing, just keep rubbing. And then, if it's okay, if it feels comfortable, go ahead and place your fingertips right on the eyelids, the entire surface of the palms touching your face. Start now by massaging the face, the fingers, working from the eyebrows up to the hairline, moving out to the temples, circling the fingers at the temples, moving down to the joint of the jaw, along the jawline to the chin, massaging around the parentheses of the mouth, up to the bridge of the nose, and around the orbits of the eyes. Moving to the ears, massaging in front of and behind the ears. Maybe even a gentle pull on the earlobes. Feeling tension and holding melting away. See if you can squeeze the back of the neck, maybe even the shoulders a bit. And now place the entire surface of the palms on the face with your fingertips on the eyelids. And drop all expression from the face. Take a deep breath in and let go. Take another deep breath in and let go even more. Releasing your arms to your sides. Cover your arms if you like. Feel the impact flooding the whole body and the entire being. Noticing if you can drop into a sense of your whole bodily presence. Letting go of what's going. Let come that which is coming. Feeling your whole body beginning to soften and relax. Let's breathe in fully and exhale with a deep sigh. And again, breathe in fully and exhale with a deep sigh. And let go even more. Feel a deep sense of contentment and peace washing over you. Now bring your body into awareness. Recognize your body has been a trusted vehicle, creating accomplishments and contributions to the best of its ability. Now it's time for your body to rest deeply. Allow yourself to receive this purpose. I trust that whatever issues are in the way of my full self-expression will be released spontaneously and effortlessly. I let go of any struggle or effort to make anything happen. Feel your outward attention moving inward. Relax and allow the commentary of the mind to dissolve into sensation. As we enter this next phase of Yoga Nidra, remain as motionless as possible. If you need to move or make an adjustment, do so mindfully and return to stillness as soon as you're able. Resolve to remain awake, staying in touch with the sound of my voice. Allow your entire body to respond to my words directly and non-mentally. Allow any disturbances, external or internal, to draw you more deeply within. And now shift from thinking and doing to feeling and being. Do absolutely nothing from now on. Drop into the deepest state of tranquility, stillness, and peace in the third eye. As you breathe in through your nose, fill your lungs completely and fully without straining. Now start exhaling through softly pursed lips, as if you're blowing through a straw. Let it be a prolonged, steady stream of breath, and empty your lungs completely. Breathe in completely and breathe out completely without straining. Each time you exhale, empty your mind of all anticipations and empty your body of all tensions. Each time you inhale, fill your heart with joy. Continue to breathe with constant attention and detached awareness. Each time you inhale, drop into a deeper level of silent awareness. Breath is calm, mind is silent, body is relaxed, heart is unconditionally open. Now return to your normal breathing and turn your attention inward. Experience the powerful impact of vibratory energetic pulsations in the form of sensations in your body. Let your detached awareness embrace all experiences unconditionally. Let your mind melt and merge into it. Now bring your total undivided attention to the eyebrow center and drop into the deepest level of silent stillness, peace, and harmony. Let go. Let go even more. Now follow my guidance as we move through different parts of the body. Let your attention rest on each body part as I name it, without comment or judgment. All 10 toes, both ankles, both knees, pelvis, abdomen, chest, arms, hands, throat, face, back of head, shoulder blades, spine, buttocks, calves, heels, soles of the feet. Sense the whole body from the top of the head to the tips of the toes. Whole body in awareness. Feel the whole body contained in vast, spacious awareness. Give yourself permission to enter into the deepest level of relaxation right now. Let go. Nothing to do or achieve. Dissolve and disappear into stillness. Open, empty of all doing, all past, empty of all future. Merge into this space and be empty. Sensations, thoughts, images floating by like clouds on a clear blue sky. letting it all gather and dissipate, come and go. Be the space in which it is all happening. Here, your intentions and affirmations are fulfilled with effortless ease. Allow your entire self to respond spontaneously and effortlessly to the following affirmations. As I allow grace for myself and others, clarity and calm arise within me. I trust an abundant universe to fulfill my needs. Every cell in my body is filled with a radiant, healing light from within. I am released from my self-image to explore, expand, and experience the infinite potential unfolding from within me. Establish yourself firmly in faith and trust to receive the grace, protection, and guidance of the higher self within you. Feel the presence of your own spiritual guides surrounding you and blessing you. Accept their blessing and grace. Embody it and spread it wherever you go. You are the emissary of light and love. Carry it everywhere you go and to everyone you meet. Establish a whole new relationship with reality, regardless of how it begins to show up in your life. Now begin to become aware of the rising and falling of the breath. Slowly feel yourself beginning to rise to the surface of awareness. Sense the body resting, noticing the quality of the air as it touches your skin. Gradually, you can move as if you're waking from a restful sleep, taking your time. There's no hurry. Perhaps stretching your arms overhead, stretching your feet. And if you'd like, you can sit up with your eyes closed or remain lying down, regardless of what you consciously recognize that has or has not changed. Know that something deep within has shifted. And as you come back to the body, into the room, bring a deep sense of contentment and peace with you. Noticing that clarity and calm, connectedness are your very nature. Taking a few deeper breaths. And only when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. I'm going to wait for just a minute for you guys to take your time. There's no hurry. As you're coming back, again, I just want to tell you how grateful I am that you've chosen to spend this time. And I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. It was, I love a good Nidra. This is the kind of calm where we don't have to pretend that we're calm on the outside. We get to cultivate it. And for some of you, this is good. This is really all you needed. And if there's some part of you that sparked a curiosity, yeah, of course, you guys are so welcome. And you want to know a little bit more, you can hang out for just a few minutes, and I'll tell you about literally the very first time in the history of this membership that I've opened this up. It used to only be open literally once a year. This is that one time a year. It's called The Power Within. Some of you are already inside The Power Within, so you already know what I'm talking about. But this is a brand new offer that none of you guys have seen before. And this is really for a 3-month membership. And it used to be that you used to go through a different program to get in here. And I've recognized that we can have a beautiful community and create the shifts that we need to within this 3-month period. And that's why I'm really offering it to you. This is a very safe environment that we create. It's a vulnerable space. It's been going for about 3 years now, and it's really evolved. And so we really do a lot of trauma-informed work in there. It's very embodied rather than just top down. So if that's something that is calling to you, I want you to think about it. The community is like unlike anything you've ever seen. It's diverse, it's beautiful, it's safe, and we help each other grow. We have sessions every Friday at noon, and that was really what I would invite you to think about. So if you're thinking about the membership, here's a little bit more information for you. There should be an email that goes out probably in the next few minutes as well. So you don't have to remember any of this stuff. This is just for curiosity purposes. What's inside? So we have this insanely curated, beautiful library of really powerful, not just meditation practices, but also coaching sessions that will probably blow your mind if you saw even just one of those, because the vulnerability and the realness of them is, again, it is just absolutely incredible. And so we'll actually get to spend 14 weeks together in there. I know I called it a 3-month program, but it's going to be about 14 weeks. And you'll start to shift into clarity, into calm, really emotional resilience, meaning giving giving the body the capacity to feel the emotions so that they pass through. And that's really what opens us into that richer experience of life. And of course, there's a private podcast as well that we get to enjoy. And if you add these up, I mean, this is something that I know is an insanely good deal for whoever chooses to come in, and I would welcome you with open arms. Is is 14.50 a month if you kind of count these up. And so for 3 months, I'm offering this for 7.99. And so and let's see, is CME available? I think that's what, Sarah, you're asking me. The answer is yes. Is that what you're asking me, Sarah? It did kind of typo a little bit. And yes, thank you, Michelle. Yes. Okay. Yes, CME is available. Yes, it is available. And I know I do love our TPW community as well, Michelle. So this is me with open arms, with that really weird face that maybe might make you smile. And so what I want to tell you is for the next 5 days, I've got a $50 off coupon for you right here. There's the coupon again. You don't have to memorize any of this. You should have it in an email very soon. And so you get to actually have a whole host of other things that I'm not even going to tell you. But our retreats have filled so quickly because really members get first dibs. Private clients, both Michelle's and mine, get first dibs. And of course, there's a wait list as well. And so we keep our retreats so small that we know that we will sell them out. And so we get to have a very intentional relationship with everyone that comes into our retreats and into this membership. And this is like my biggest selling point to you. There's like zero fluff. Like you're never going to find fluff. You're never going to find stuff that's esoteric, because there's enough information. You would never join a program like this for information. This is not about the information. This is about the results. This is about the transformation. And I've seen it over and over and over again. And it is really about this connection that's really difficult for us to get in really so many different places, because we have to wear these different masks. And here there's no masks at all, like zero masks. Right. And so some folks might say, let's see, the 12 p.m. Friday sessions are not in person. Most of the people that are here, Oriana, this is a very good question, are on Zoom. They are like, folks are on the West Coast. We're all over the country, actually. I think there's just about 2 of us that are local here. Maybe no, there's 3 of us that are local. The rest are all over the country. And so it's actually quite easy for folks to pop in. Well, I don't want to say easy, but it can be done. I have seen it be done in some of the most hectic schedules. And so, yes, that's a really good question. I can talk about this. I can yap about this all day long, but I like to show you testimonials. There's several on my website as well. And this is what a dear client of mine, Raman, talked about recently. And so some people are looking for a private program where maybe you can't make the Fridays, or maybe you want to have one-on-one time, and I do that as well. And so you wouldn't, in my opinion, just want to jump in to start coaching with me until you and I talk together. We want to make sure that we're a good fit. This little guy gives you access to schedule a free 30-minute session with me. And there's like zero obligation. There's like, what you see is what you get. There's never going to be any pressure from me, but it will be an exploration session. And again, it's a Calendly link that you can find on my website as well, in case, you're like, have to run right now. But she talked about what a lot of people say to me, which is that they've tried a lot of things before. So I'm almost never the first stop, right? Like people have either tried like meditation apps, or they've done some other things as well. Whether it's therapy, which I deeply respect, or any other program, which I also deeply respect. But really, this kind of meditation and this kind of meditation combined with coaching is just something that I have found to be so magical and works in a proven way every time. And she talked about the results that she's getting in the private coaching program is that it feels really powerful and it works, and that it's helped reshape her life experience into the one that she always thought was an unachievable dream. I mean, that like makes me want to tear up. So and there's lots of other testimonials as well. So I'm going to leave you guys with this today. I want you to, create a space that's an E there for softness. And I want you to see if there's a space that you can create for a little bit of silence, for a little bit of stillness. We enjoyed this meditation together. You don't have to do a full 20-minute meditation to get where you are now. Maybe it is just turning off the podcast in your car. Maybe it is just sitting still for 2.5 minutes at lunch and noticing your breath. Whatever it is that feels even the tiniest bit nourishing for you, I think start there. And as you give yourself space for silence and even a tiny bit of stillness, clarity arises, calm arises. And from that place, when we make decisions and take actions, that's really that space where we actually start to see the results and a purposeful kind of result as we move through the year. And so I want you to just give yourself permission to move into that softness and to see what that might feel like for you. We're almost out of time. And so I don't want to keep you guys much longer. I, of course, will hang out for questions or anything else. I'm so grateful that you guys got to come. And if it feels okay for you, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.